Any sincere spiritual aspirant will ask himself at some point the question of how to best progress on the spiritual journey. So many practices and paths are available that it becomes sometimes really difficult to understand which path fits for oneself. Everybody has an individual path, and of course personal experiences will guide us closer to our goal. And in my view, that is a very essential point, to have a clear goal. Many paths speak of well-being, love, enlightenment, activating our full potential, and all of that sounds really good and attracts also a lot of people. You have the potential, you have the power, you are more than you think you are. All statements which I would generally agree on, but often the motivation to embark on such a spiritual path is the seeking of some power which appeals actually to the ego, to become more special, more powerful. Of course, when we are on the spiritual path, we probably won't acknowledge that we are seeking power and that we have egoistic motivations. Mostly we will put on the mask of love, service, humility. But I invite you to have a closer look and see that we are always somehow in danger of falling for the power game, that the ego is always there and wants its share. True spirituality is connected with humility, and humility seems to be one of the greatest and probably most difficult virtues to achieve. When we want to achieve something in life, we need the right combination of effort, luck or fate, spiritual benefits, and ultimately grace. Grace is not under our jurisdiction, and neither are the past karmas. So the thing we can really influence is our present moment and the way we live it. How we use our time in the most proper way. How every moment can become a blessing and support to get closer to a spiritual attainment. That we have discussed already in various other videos. Spiritual practice is therefore essential. It is like the food for our spiritual self. Another word for spiritual practice is austerity or tapasya. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks of 3 types of austerity. The austerity of the mind, the austerity of speech, and the austerity of the body. These 3 types of austerity, how they are generally understood, and more specific, how Paramahamsa Vishwananda instructs us in relation to them, I have explained in another video. The link is up here in the card and in the description. These 3 types of austerity, the austerity of mind, speech and body, are again divided into the 3 gunas. So let's have a look at them. Krishna says in chapter 17, verse 17 to 19, when these 3 forms of austerity are practiced with firm faith and without any desire for reward, they are of the sattvic nature. Austerity practiced with vanity for the sake of honor, praise and good reputation is rajasic. Such practice is unstable and impermanent. And the austerity practiced with foolishness, which tortures oneself or inflicts harm to others, is considered tamasic. So when these 3 forms of austerity, the austerity of body, speech and mind, are done selflessly, without expectation for a reward, and with faith, then this austerity is pure or sattvic. Faith is probably the most abstract and difficult part to understand in this statement. The faith in something higher, the faith in a supreme origin or God, is actually essential for a safe spiritual journey. Because that guarantees that we stay humble and that we don't fall for the trap of power and fame, which we have seen before that the ego always feeds on. It is not about me, it is about God, it is about the Almighty. One of my God brothers lately shared actually a very beautiful revelation which he got from my spiritual master in another video. If you're interested, the link is in the description. So the first thing is that the sattvic austerity is safe. And secondly, it is free of expectations. I love that part. Often we practice because we want some results. When we do japam, or when we do meditation, when we do kirtan, when we do puja, we might experience many different things, also very beautiful things. But it is not always the case that we experience beautiful things, especially when we expect something. Has it ever occurred to you that you had a very great meditation session? Maybe you have learned just Atma Kriya Yoga, and during your practice you have gone into an inner space and experienced a great peace and love. Now when you sit down again for your next practice, you will automatically, consciously or unconsciously, wish to get the same experience, isn't it? That expectation will actually hinder you from going deeper. Therefore, Krishna says that we should practice without desire for any reward. Paramahamsa Vishwananda once told me that even though all the different spiritual practices have many benefits on many different levels, in essence, we are showing God that we are interested in Him when we take time to contemplate on Him or to spend time with Him. Because you know how it is. When you love somebody, you want to spend time with him. The same is with God. If you love God, you want to spend time with Him. Imagine you tell your partner, I love you, I love you, I love you, but you never have time for them. Not sure they're going to believe that you truly love them. Secondly, let's talk about the Rajasic austerity. Austerity which is motivated by results to achieve something, to be somebody, to feel something. Sounds familiar? The more I practice, I have seen over the years that this quality of vanity always tries to sneak in. Like I said before, the ego feeds on that. I'm not saying that it is a bad thing, but I'm just saying it is good that we are aware where our motivation lies, and that sometimes the motivation is rooted in vanity and in the seeking of honor and reputation, or something of that kind. Look at him or look at her. Oh, such great yogi. Oh, so holy. Wow, he can control this or he can control that. The list of powers we can achieve is long and dangerous. Like I said, even though we might think we are humble and we are only seeking to serve and love God and to serve the welfare of the world, the ego and pride is always present and feeds on it. So we should watch out. If you want to test yourself, just imagine how you would feel if you are never acknowledged, if you're completely disregarded, humiliated by everybody. Would you feel utterly undisturbed because you are fully centered in something higher? Or would it disturb you, even just a little bit? If it would disturb you just a little bit, just know that there's still some work to do. That reminds me of a story my master once told me. The story is about a monk who went to Mount Athos, the holy mountain of the Orthodox Christian. He took shelter at the guidance of an elder, and he was actually a very pious monk. One day his brother disciples saw him levitating 1 meter above the ground during his prayer. Such was his absorption. In their amazement, they called the elder, who came with a stick and gave this levitating monk a proper beating, till he came down again to the ground. Then he sent him away to the desert to learn from another elder. While the brother disciples were shocked and didn't understand. You see, in this story, we would think this monk was great to be so absorbed, but his elder, his teacher, his guru, he knew the danger of pride, and he brought him down to this earth again. Such insightful guidance can only be given by a spiritual master or a true Sadguru. That's why austerity should always be done under the guidance of a true master or saint. And the last type of austerity is the tamasic one, which Krishna describes actually as a foolish practice, which harms oneself and also others. Again, the example for such practices are many. There's many practices and courses out there where, for example, we try forcefully to awaken the Kundalini Shakti through extreme breathing practices, which might open certain doors which at that moment should not be opened, or extreme fasting, or an extreme deprivation of sleep. All of this counts into this category. But the list, of course, is long. And often it really comes back again to the right guidance. That's why the practices which Paramahamsa Vishwananda and Mahavatar Babaji have given us are such a great gift, because they are infused with their blessings, with their grace, and therefore the practice is safe and we are constantly guided. They direct us towards God realization, nothing less. And that takes away the focus from ourselves and directs it towards the Supreme. So there's no expectation, but the only aim is to serve and love more and more. If you had some experiences with different practices, which now you might see that they fall in one of those categories, then please feel free to share it and leave a comment. Also, if you have found some important insights and practices which have helped you to become more humble and more devoted to a higher goal, stay tuned for further videos on the theme of the gunas, and don't forget to subscribe, like and share. See you next time. Jai Gurudev.